Folks, welcome to Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling. I'm your host, Mark Riccadonna, and with me as always,
Ricky Byrne, who always looks surprised when we come on.
He never can believe that it's happening.
Those guys are back.
Who are these two? How you been, buddy?
I'm all right, man. I think I'm gonna get rid of the goat.
Yeah?
I don't like gray.
Yeah. So I'm doing a thing for this corporate gig, and they're gonna make me shave because I play a guy who grows a beard, so we're gonna shoot it in reverse. And so at the end of the month, you're gonna have a baby-faced Mark Riccadonna co-host.
Yeah. And I know you were telling me that's pretty cool. You and I are very different though, in that you can grow a beard in like 20 minutes.
That's true. I just splash a little water on the face. It's like a chia pet. Yeah. I think though, if I do shave, I think I'm going to keep it off for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, I had the beard all summer and into the fall, and then I got rid of the beard and I stayed with the goat. I don't know. I think I might get clean shaven.
I think you should shave and bleach your asshole.
Well, I'm doing that one.
We got a super awesome show today.
Why would I bleach you?
I come back with blonde hair. What happened? Richie bleached his asshole.
Bleach his asshole. My asshole.
Oh God. Dude, I'm pumped for today. Today was an unplanned thing because JD was so great. We were like, all right, we're bringing him back. We'll push everyone down a little, delay a month or delay a week, move it down. So I'm very excited for this. I believe we got to switch over. We're going to switch over from Facebook to Twitch.
We are on Facebook. Okay.
So when we switch back over, we'll have JD with us. But here's the deal. Anybody who's on Facebook, join us over at Twitch. It's so easy. All you got to do is go to twitch.tv/drinks, jokes, the letter N, storytelling. You can join for free. It's easy. And if you join and start following our page, we have like 1,000 shows a week. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Tom, do you want to pop on real quick and just say all the shows we have? I lose track.
Yeah, we have a couple of great shows coming up. So just this week coming up, we have our show right now, DJS, the original recipe with JD Shapiro. This is one you definitely don't want to miss. And then right after that, we have Night Meds with Frank Vignola. And then tonight we have Hi, I'm Jason.
It's going to be
so much fun. And then right after Hi, I'm Jason, Ace Aceto comes on with Behind the Funny. Then tomorrow we have Buddy Fitzpatrick with And the Word Is, the improv game show, followed by Behind the Bits with Scott Curtis and Dustin Chafin, followed by Dystopia Tonight with John Poveromo, who has Art Alexicus from Everclear, the lead singer, on Friday, we have the DJS Roundtable that we're going to be discussing comedy on Twitch. And then Main Street with Gary Allen with Melissa
Manchester.
Good job.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Really? I toured with her 2 years ago. I have to come on. We have to go together. Right. Gary has somebody that I have to come on with.
Gary always has someone you want to come on with.
I know.
So, Richie, I think you're going to leave our show and join Gary.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty much his sidekick now. I mean,
well, we're going to switch over. We're going to switch over. Anybody on Facebook, please come on over. Join us on the Twitch side. We got some great stuff coming up. I wrote down some notes. If I have notes, it's going to be interesting because I don't do any preparing.
I barely got on at 3.
All right.
I'm so excited.
Let's switch over. See you on the Twitch side.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
That they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
Why so serious?
But what I do have are a very particular set of skills.
say I'm a human being. God damn it! My life has been. I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore.
Whoa, we're here
We are.
with JD. This is exciting. Our resident gaucho.
I was sorry. I was sleeping because you guys were talking, but now that I'm on it, wake up.
Well, the way we
Last week we did it from a different location in my house.
Yes.
This week I wanted to look smart, so I had books put in and a telescope in my Don Quixote, and I got my people think I have some type of intelligence. It's a complete lie, of course, but
Man, I feel like I should take my shirt off and just relax by the fire.
that's sexy. Of course, this is Sherlock Holmes stuff, so it's not tobacco.
Oh, nice.
Oh my God!
Actually, supposedly he smoked heroin. So not heroin. I'm sorry. He smoked
Hashish. Hash.
no opium.
Opium. Wow.
Oh wow!
Sherlock
Sherlock.
The hard
Yeah.
stuff.
How many of you had? Which one of you have had opium besides Mark?
Not yet.
Wait, today or
Exactly. In the past 20 minutes.
I mean, look, I've been clean and sober for 2 hours. So,
Well,
here's to you. The way we start every show is with a drink.
okay. Well, actually, I have a treat for the audience. I have a special drink. So this is called Sidra, which comes from the north of Spain originally, and it's made from it's an apple alcohol. But the way you drink it is in a very thin glass. I have no reason why it's a thin glass. And you actually have to pour it, well, you're supposed to pour it from high above, which I'm not going to attempt here because I'll kill my computer because it mixes up the stuff. But this is a great drink.
You didn't want to pour it from up high because Richie said you look like a magician. And he didn't want to whoa!
A magic trick. No, yeah. I don't. The only magic trick I know is I can actually make my dick grow to 3 inches. So that's kind of neat.
And make your drink disappear.
Yeah, that's another one.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
I am going with a Guinness. I'm wearing a Laddie shirt and I'm pouring a Guinness. Richie,
Nice.
what do you got?
I'm doing my Johnny Black on the rocks.
I like it. And I'm coffee and Irish cream. It's a nice morning drink for me right now.
Wow, we got the guy in Spain on, and we're all drinking Irish shit.
Yeah,
Mine-
what's that about? You're in the wrong country. By the way, I'm very disturbed. I don't know if the audience heard that, but Mark is going to shave off his beard, and he no longer needs to wear a mask. So that's kind of frightening.
Angie's really excited to finally break free from hanging out with me. Since I'm
I think he's going to be running far away.
getting rid of that beard.
It's funny, I'm doing the same gig, but I have to do in reverse. I have to shave my balls. So it's
I didn't know where you were going with that.
The hardest part. The hardest part of shaving your balls is getting them to go.
luckily mine hang really low, so I just. By the way, Richie, you made a brilliant comment. I know it's brilliant because it's in a movie I wrote that hasn't come out yet. In Knights of the Not So Round Table, the whole time Prince John is saying, no, wait, not Prince John. I forget which character. The bad guy is saying he needs to bleach his asshole. And at the end of the movie, we realize his asshole is a friend of his.
Are you serious? Great minds think alike, bro.
I love it.
So good.
And I never thought, sometimes, when you write a comedy, it's one of the few things that you write more jokes than you're going to use, because you're often surprised at what works and what doesn't work. You're positive something's going to work and it doesn't work, and you're pretty sure something won't work. I actually didn't think the bleached asshole joke would work until you said it. And I'm like, oh, it's funny.
That is
the first time I heard it. You might have to deliver the line in the movie.
I'm available.
JD, we are all painfully available.
Yes.
The
My asshole.
That's my greatest role.
That's right. What a great credit. Right?
So
on IMDb, Richie, asshole.
Well, what's funny? I did an episode of Sex in the City, and if you look it up, I played jerk number 2, which I thought, like, I couldn't even get jerk number 1. Like, that's how.
Right.
the
It should have been jerk off. It would have been much jerk off.
Thank God I wasn't Mr. Small.
Yeah, that's reserved for Jews.
We usually
is that why you have Mel Gibson in the beginning? Because I was born Jewish, and you just want to rub it in a little.
Hey, we like to have good guys and bad guys. You decide who's who. That's up to you.
An ex-girlfriend was one of the leads in a movie he directed called Man Without a Face. And I met him. He was very nice to me, but I made sure when I met him, I was wearing a big cross and a Ku Klux Klan hat. So we got along.
You had to pretend you were Italian.
Who was the girlfriend? Who was it?
A brilliant actress named Faye Masterson.
Oh, yeah, Faye Masterson, sure. Yeah,
she's also in Eyes Wide Shut. She's really great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, I want to ask if we have a joke ready. We actually did the drink. Do we got a joke? Because I think we have a lot to talk about today, so I wanted to get it out of the way. I have written down stuff we were going to touch base on. We're going to talk about medieval times, a little bit more about Battlefield Earth, Michael Jackson, Three Stooges, George Lucas, Stan Lee, and the original title.
If you'd have a joke, I have a Michael Jackson joke.
There we go. Let's go with the Michael Jackson joke.
All right. Let me think of that. All right. So not many people know this, and this is true. Farrah Fawcett died the same day as Michael Jackson. She died first, and it totally the next day, she didn't get anything. Yeah, no one cared about Farrah Fawcett. But when she died and went to heaven, God said, "Listen, you had a terrible death. I mean, anal cancer. It was painful, and you went through hell. I really feel bad about how much pain you went through to die. So I'm going to grant you one wish, anything at all." And Farrah Fawcett said, "I want all the children on earth to be safe." And Michael Jackson died.
I had no idea where you were going with that joke.
I'm not sure I did either, but
those are the best
you
jokes.
You did look a little confused, like, wait, what's the fucking punchline? Okay, I think I got it.
There's been so many times I went to dive into a joke, and I'm like, so this guy walks into a bar. Oh shit! Did I already give that away? Hold on. And I just start making shit up until I can remember the joke.
It's funny. Most people don't realize it, but we're all comedians. We don't do jokes.
Yeah,
right. But there is an art to it. There is an when you meet someone who's really good at telling a street joke, it's really amazing.
I absolutely love.
I'm sure Rodney Dangerfield was probably great at it.
Even if you know the joke, if someone knows how to tell it, it doesn't matter. It's still funny.
Right.
To me, it's like listening to a song that everybody knows, like a standard, and you get to hear a different musician's take on it. So, like, if you go to tell the genie in genie in the bar joke, it's going to be different than Richie's version, which is different than Tom.
Right.
And I really enjoy hearing a joke. Like
have you ever heard a joke? Someone tells you a joke, and until it gets to the punchline, you don't realize it's a joke. And you're like, my God, I have a completely different setup for this joke.
Yeah.
That's
like, oh.
Oh, in your joke, he's okay, all right.
He's an African American.
So, where we left off, we were talking about.
Where's your joke?
Gotcha. Mark's up.
My joke?
Oh, we did one joke. We don't have to do more than one. I mean, we can if you want.
Do one? Oh, okay.
We only have to do one, and you seemed like you didn't have one, so I saved your ass.
We did.
He went for the.
I have it. It's not a joke, but it's a great story with a good punchline. So I'm going to
I
tell
love that.
Can you?
Okay, so you guys might know this story. So I think it was in the 70s, Monty Python group was invited to go to Germany because they were told Germany doesn't have a sense of humor and they need a sense of humor. So they're giving them a tour of Germany, Poland, different areas, and they get to Auschwitz, and they're waiting outside, and the tour guide comes out and says, it's closed. You can't go inside. And I think it was Michael Palin takes a beat and looks at him and he goes, tell them we're Jews.
See, Mel Gibson tells it different.
His setup is very different and his punch ends with death.
No, his ends with so they bought it.
Well, my ex-wife is going to visit, I forget where in Poland, and she goes to the tourist place in Madrid to find out about where to go. And they actually said to her, wait, which is the concentration camp in Poland? I'm blanking on it. It's not, well, whichever one it is. If you stay in the city, she said to her, she said, and we have a free train to the concentration camp. Now, knowing my sense of humor, and I wasn't even there, she just burst out laughing and no one understood why she was laughing.
Well, if it's free, weren't we just talking about that?
Music to get you on board the train.
And it always runs on time.
I will say the first time I did get on a train, now it was in Italy, but in Europe, but I was a little nervous. I kept looking around and waiting to jump if I had to.
You look like you'd be robbing the train.
Hopefully plentiful and often.
Doesn't JD look like he jumped off a horse onto the train and I'll be taking it from here, boys?
One of my favorite movies is Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, so that's a great way to live and die. Truthfully, my wish to die is in slow motion and then freeze frame. If I can die in freeze frame, I've done well.
Yeah, I love when they're going, who are these guys? Remember when who are these guys?
So you know the movie well.
Very well.
One of my favorite lines, and I've got foresight, and the rest of the world wears bifocals.
Yeah. And The Sting too is a great movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, those guys should do another movie together again. I know Newman is dead.
Yes,
and it means he's more expensive, but he's available.
But for the right price.
For the right price, you can get him.
So-
My sister went with her friend and her daughter to a movie that Paul Newman was in, and the daughter said, "I know that guy. He's from the salad dressing."
Wow. Wow.
That's sad that the younger generation thinks of him as the salad dressing dude.
That's how. That's time goes by, and eventually you're the salad dressing guy.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
So I gotta, since we're talking about this, you've directed, you've written. Who are your big influences?
Oh, well, probably there's a lot, but probably my two most would be Woody Allen and oh God, I'm totally Charlie Chaplin. I'd say would probably be But also, but my comedy influences were
They both like young girls.
I know there's a there's a
think about
thread
that.
here.
That's very true, and they both have similar styles. Let me think. Well, my wife was a lot younger than me, so hey, I actually feel very safe in the Me Too moment. Nothing can come out about me, as far as I know. But that is interesting about them. So I wonder where Monty Python fits in, because they were a big influence.
Interesting.
George Carlin, Richard Pryor, Mark Riccadano.
He's one of the best.
I put those in my top. My top. Truffaut is an amazing director. As a person who always kept trying, people don't realize this, but Orson Welles, because even though his first movie was his greatest movie, the guy made like a dozen movies that never got completed because he'd always lose financing, but he never gave up. He never gave up on making movies and eating. It was an incredible.
Orson Welles, I guess I'm the reincarnation of him. The less successful. I can't stop eating and can't stop failing at making movies.
There you go.
Have you ever seen the commercial?
You aspired to greatness by failing.
So, and we talked really briefly after we got off a little bit about the Three Stooges, and you told me to remind you of the Three Stooges.
That's a little story, but I kept getting caught up in things that were part of history. We'll talk about Michael Jackson later, but one was I was going to do the screenplay for the Three Stooges, and we're about to. Yeah, it was one of those. Like, I had a meeting with the producers. I pitched my take. I walked out. I called my agent. And I said, Nick, they hated it. They hate me. It's forget about it. He goes, real. He was English, and he thought he was Austin Powers. He's like, really, baby? They just called me and they said, you're the guy they want. So sometimes, because I had a meeting with New Line once. Everyone, the president of New Line, the president of production, the vice president, everyone who says yes. I have a meeting on a project that I've got the guy that was in Tropic Thunder, who was great, the black guy in Tropic Thunder,
Robert Downey Jr.
And I had Al Pacino interested and Christoph Waltz, and I had very powerful producers, Eric Gold and Jessica Green, and the room is laughing their ass off. At the end, it's like, this is the president goes, this is the exact type of movie we want to make. And 2 days later, they said, no, we don't want to do it.
Wow.
Thanks.
With the Three Stooges was the opposite. I didn't think. So anyway, and I meet. It was one of those great meetings. I meet with the president of Sony had the rights. And I meet with the president. I walk in and I sit down at the head of the table because I learned that trick. And the executives, there's like 4 executives there, and all of us, they looked nervous, and they're like, do you have to sit there? That's where Michael Nathan said, that's where Michael sits. So I went, well, okay. So I just went to the other head of the table. Michael walks in. I gave a 5-minute pitch. He asked one question. He went, great, let's go make the deal. Those are great times when it happens. So we're waiting to we started negotiations, and we're waiting, and the studio calls up and goes, we're like, what happened? And the studio calls up my attorney, John LaViolette, and says, it's not on your end, it's on our end. We have some issues. The next day, and all the newspapers come out, Michael Nathanson was using Heidi Fleiss money and and taking money from the Three Stooges project. So,
man. Talk about whipped cream pie in the face.
And by the way, at the time we were talking about Bruce Willis, Mel Gibson, and I forget who the third person was, as possibly the Three Stooges. They were interested, according to the studio. Obviously, it depended how the script came out, but then it all just after it came out, I'm like, why couldn't it be used like the whatever fund, any fund, the Sex and the City fund? I don't care.
That could have been research for that.
So I ended up getting a bunch of phone calls from the press going, well, what do you know about Heidi Fleiss? I was like, well, I know I wish I had used her services, but I didn't. So.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Unbelievable.
All right, I got it.
If timing was right, this was shortly after the Michael Jackson stuff. So it was like, okay, there's another Hollywood scandal. Somehow I'm involved in peripherally.
So Mrs. Banis brought up the medieval times story. You teased us with it. We want to know about it.
It's a little story. It's probably more fun in my mind than I'll explain it. But so
I don't know. Every story you've told so far, I've been enthralled.
I'll try and bore people with this one because you got to have ebb and throws.
You got to have your lows. That's why Richie has me on the show.
Yeah, well, I could. The energy was a little bit stronger on my end last time, so I'll try and pick it up.
Finish that apple drink. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's
do it. By the way, if anyone wants to know the history of apples, I won't bore them with them now, but it's very fascinating. You should Google it. I'm not kidding. I like history, and I have all these things in my head that will absolutely do nothing for me in real life. And the things that I need in real life, none of it's in my fucking head. So
I feel the same way.
So Mel and I, so we're working on Men in Tights, and I don't know who tell Mel Brooks this, but Mel comes to me and goes, let's go to medieval times. I'm like, medieval times? What's medieval times? He goes, oh, they have shows and they have this and they, it's like back in the medieval times. And I'm like, why? And he says, I don't know, maybe we'll come up with some ideas. So I'm with Mel now, if people don't know what medieval times is, it's a restaurant that's in an arena, and on the floor they have jousting and all type of stuff.
Everybody has a color and they cheer for their guy.
Yeah, yes. And
cut his head off.
Right, you get mutton. It's not called meat, it's mutton. You get this big slab of mutton, and you get like a huge a thing of beer. I think it was Guinness. I don't remember. But
speaking of,
there you go. Cheers.
I think anytime anyone says a word with a vowel, we should have a drink.
I like the way you think.
So we go there, we get in, and people are looking at us like, is that Mel Brooks? And we take our seats, and then they give us these paper crowns. So Mel puts on his paper crown, and he's like, why aren't you wearing a crown? I'm like, I don't want to wear the crown. He's like, I'm wearing my crown. I'm like, and it looks really stupid on you, and that's why I'm not wearing it. He's like, come on, wear the crown. He's practically begging me to wear the paper crown. So I'm like, fine, I fucking put on the paper crown. And now I'm seeing people around us, and they're literally just looking like, you can see what they're saying. They're like, that can't be Mel Brooks wearing a paper crown eating mutton. Anyway,
Are you sure you weren't? Are you sure you weren't at a Burger King in Queens?
that's where he dragged me to next. But it was,
Mel Brooks and his paper crown restaurants.
and we didn't have any VIP seating or anything like that. I don't even think I don't know if he told his assistants or whatever, but we just went. We're wearing paper crowns, we're eating mutton with everyone else, and we're watching this silly show. And that's it. That's the entire exciting story.
But look, I want to hear the story from the Knights' perspective when they're like,
Yeah.
they looked up, Mel Brooks is in the audience, and he's all into it. He's wearing a crown.
I knew we didn't have VIP seats because once I started making bigger deals with studios, I actually found out that studios and big production companies have like either, like the first four seats for the Lakers, the all the sports teams,
Right.
the Dodgers and the Kings. So I would negotiate. Part of my deal was getting tickets, but Mel and I we were like, in the middle section. We weren't.
You mean you didn't get box seats to medieval times?
We did not get box seats. We just got regular schmuck seats. That's why people were looking, going, that can't be Mel Brooks in the schmuck seat wearing a paper crown. I mean, it was, when we left, I do remember we were riding down the escalator, and only one person said, "Are you JD Shapiro?" No, they didn't say that. They said, "Are you Mel Brooks?" And Mel went, "Yes." He was finally happy to be recognized. Oh, speaking of which, so Mel was not low key. The first time we went out to lunch outside the commissary, we went to this restaurant, and it's where a lot of movie people go. And I take my seat, and the old adage from New York is you sit facing the door because just in case someone comes in with guns or knives, you're prepared.
Kill you.
So I take my seat, and Mel is pacing. He's like, pacing. That's my take on pacing. And I'm like, what? And he goes, and he was very almost like a kid. Can I sit there? I'm like, yeah, okay. So I switched seats. Now I thought it was because of the New York thing, and I realized no, because people would come in and they'd see Mel and they'd, Mel, good to see you. Mel, nice to see you. So he was happy that at least one person recognized him. And by the way, he wore the crown after dinner all the way to the car. He might still have that crown today. I don't.
You gotta save if there's a hair that got stuck in the crown. You gotta save that because you might have to Jurassic Park them.
Did you get any ideas at all?
What?
Did you get any ideas from?
No, not one.
But you did learn not to eat mutton.
I did learn not to eat mutton and to always wear a crown if you do. It was very. But Mel. See, what happened was Mel would drag me to everything. I mean, literally, he'd call me up and he goes, "What are you doing today?" I'm like, "Well, I'm kind of working. I had other this." And he's like, "I'm gonna go get my hair cut. Do you want to come?" I'm like,
he was trying to ditch Carl Reiner and get you on board.
Yeah. He was like, "I don't know." And he was like, "Well, it's near where you live. It's at the Beverly Hills Hotel." I'm like, "Well, why do I want to go?" And then he was like, I never forget. He was like, "My hairdresser has big tits." So I said, "Okay." Cleavon Little's funeral Ann was out of town. And he's like, come to me to the funeral. I'm like, I don't want to go to the funeral.
Wow.
He's like, come to me. Come on, Ann's out of town. I don't want to go by myself. When I'm like, don't you know anyone else? So I go to him. I go with him to the funeral. It turned out to be like a Broadway show. The speeches, the singing, the stars. I mean, it was incredible. But so before the funeral, Mel and I was sitting in a pew. It was Mel here and me here. And this little guy, excuse me, sits next to me. And I realized it's Dustin Hoffman. So Dustin Hoffman tells the dirtiest jokes you can imagine. Oh, talk about telling great jokes. And they are hysterical. So he keeps telling me them during the funeral, and I'm like cracking up at very inappropriate moments. But at one point, Dustin goes, he was jealous of me in the Graduate. And Mel goes, no, I wasn't. And he goes, yeah, he kept calling Ann up and going, is he nice? What's he like? Stay away from him. You know, don't kiss him. And I said, well, you did kiss. And Hoffman had forgotten because he said, no, he didn't. I go, yeah, you kissed. He goes, no, he didn't. I said, yeah, you kissed. And then, yeah, she blew cigarette smoke in your face. Oh, yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. I said, well, it must have been a great fucking kiss. But Mel would take me to all these things, and then I'd go out to dinner with him and Ann. And they'd always be like, don't eat that. It's bad for your liver. Don't eat that. It's bad for your heart. Don't eat that. It's bad for your ribs. I'm like, basically, they left me with like water and rocks. And I said, I said at one point, I don't know if you guys care about my health or you're just fucking cheap and you don't want me to order anything. Mel was, if you look up cheap Jew, it's Mel Brooks's face. He definitely that category.
What? You know what's amazing? You've been in Hollywood too long. When Mel Brooks calls you to go to Cleveland Little's funeral, and you're like, nah,
I got other shit to do.
No, I wasn't expecting. Although, see, I grew up with a lot of black friends, and I would go to their Baptist church, and it was a show. It was fun, but I wasn't. Although I'm not sure if Cleveland was Baptist, but I wasn't thinking of it like, oh, it's going to be this great.
Right. Celebration.
You know, I'm not, you know, I'm not into crashing funerals normally.
Why not?
Although I have to say this, Dom DeLuise, I've become friendly with Dom DeLuise, so I was invited to his funeral, and there were a lot of tears.
Food was probably amazing.
Dude, he cooked everything right before he went.
Sorry, God, I can't go yet. I gotta finish this buffet.
Well, he had these fantastic barbecues on, was it Saturday or Sundays? I think it was Sundays. And I went to a few, and they were. I mean, he was an incredible cook. I know it was hard to tell by looking at him.
Yeah, but barely touched the stuff.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things when I worked at the St. Mark's Theater. They have a cement imprint of Dom DeLuise's hand and footprint. Like it's like the Walk of Fame for the St. Mark's Theater. And the Dom DeLuise one was the one I was most impressed by. I was always just like, fucking Dom DeLuise.
It's interesting. I did a couple of interviews for Men in Tights. I did a bunch, but way afterwards for someone who was doing a behind the scenes or something. And who's the funniest person you've ever known? And I was like, Dom DeLuise. And they stopped the camera and said to me, everyone has said Dom DeLuise. And I'm like, because he just was. In person, you know, he was, you know, I actually learned something from Don. The first time I went to his barbecue, when I was leaving, I took big things from his mantle, because he would always say he was a gentleman. He would greet everyone when they came in and made sure he said everyone when he'd wait at the door and made sure he said goodbye to everyone. So I took a chair and I looked like the character in Steve Martin in the Jerk. I was carrying all the stuff.
I'm taking a plate to go.
He laughs and he says, "Thank you for doing that." And was like, thank you for doing that. I didn't and then it hit me. Of course, I did it because I wanted him to laugh, and he was thanking me for going out of the way to make him laugh. And I never thought about that before, because I got so much joy out of doing it that I really never thought about that before. But anyway, so we're standing on his porch. Now, Dom at that time was beyond heavy, and he was walking with a cane, a big cane. And so he asked me.
It was a very thick cane.
It was a thick cane. And he asked me, and he was a lovely man, and he asked me some questions about Men in Tights. And I told him how we actually could have had Jim Carrey to play either Robin Hood, or more than likely we were really looking at him as the Sheriff of Rottingham. And Dom goes like this: wait, you're telling me you could have had Jim Carrey? No, I'm sorry. You're telling me Mel could have had Jim Carrey, the biggest star in the world, because at the time when we had this conversation, he was, to be in Robin Hood, his movie, Robin Hood, in his movie. I said, yes. Dom literally walks down the 3 steps, I think it was, looks up at the heavens and goes, thank you, God. Whoa, Mel is pissed off even his closest friends.
Well, Dom wasn't in that, right? Was he in it? Was he? He's in
Dom, no, Dom stole the movie. Dom plays a Vito Corleone character.
Oh, right, of course. Yeah, he's in it. Right. Yeah, he's great. Yeah.
I think I said last week, I can't watch my movies. I don't like them. That's the one of the very few scenes in Men in Tights that I thought was just
spot
the best.
on.
But he always had these small roles in all of Mel's movies, and he always steals the movie. You know, like the director in Blazing Saddles is hysterical. Jabba the Hutt. Remember Jabba the Hutt? He was Jabba the Hutt.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I think Mel was actually, Mel and I fought over Dom DeLuise for this role. And then Mel found out Dom had done some type of Don Corleone bit. And I looked at it and I was like, so what? It's different here. I think I never asked Mel, but I think what happened was he starred in the 12 Chairs, and that wasn't a successful movie. And I think Mel then was a little afraid to use him more. But Don was just brilliant. I mean, brilliance. Yeah.
There was something with that old school group, like Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise together. Like, you just feel that they had to be real friends.
Yeah.
Like, and even the predecessors to them were the same way. But that people really felt like friends. I don't feel like that's here anymore.
I think like George Clooney and Brad Pitt are friends. They're friends well beyond the screen. But it's not the same. There's that old, maybe we look back at it with rose-colored glasses and it's nostalgia, but it feels like back then there was that whole Rat Pack thing, and it went beyond the Rat Pack. Like you said, Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise. Sally Fields was at the funeral, and my God, did she look beautiful. You know, sometimes you can't tell, what a person looks like in person. Some actors actually look better in person and on screen. Yes. Sometimes it's the reverse. She looked beautiful. Burt wasn't. Burt. I can't call him Burr because I've never met Burt.
Yeah, you can't burr him. Can't drop the sound.
Can't the burr. But Burt wasn't there. I don't know. I think he might have been ill. I'm not sure why. But they talked about him. So yeah, they were very close friends based on what I heard at the funeral. So I
Dom DeLuise's funeral.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't go to Burt's funeral because I couldn't call him Burr, so I wasn't allowed. But,
was that a very fun event as far as were people telling stories at I'm sure Dom DeLuise, that must have been amazing.
There were tears at that one, but the stories, the stories that stole the show was Carl Reiner. Carl Reiner was hysterical. I would have paid serious money to just, go to the club and hear him talk. He was, you know, there's a lot of great speeches, but Carl was hysterical. You just saw the brilliance of the way he would put together a story.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You know, Dom DeLuise's wife just died last year, and I didn't realize.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't realize she's the woman in Blazing Saddles who isn't anybody going to help that man, and she's that woman who's all over Blazing Saddles. I don't.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. She's the one. She's speaking low in Blazing, and we, the God-fearing people, and they're like louder. Like she goes, we, the God-fearing wife, and they all jump and all.
I never realized that. He was really, him and Anne Bancroft were very, very close. He was devastated when she passed away. Yeah, we spoke shortly after that, and he was devastated. But oh wait, a good Blazing Saddles stories. So there's a scene, if anyone watches, where
God damn it, JD, you're so goddamn entertaining. I love talking with you.
Now I'm talking about my favorite movie, JD. So this I'm done. Go ahead.
Okay, so you'll like this trivia. So you know the scene. It's where the woman, he says, hello, Cleveland says, hello, how you doing? And she says, up yours, nigger. And so he goes back to, and by the way, fuck woke. That's how it is in the movie. And that's how I'm going to say it. So it's about context, people. Context. So anyway, so he goes and Gene Wilder was like, what story, but go ahead. Okay, so do you know? I don't know the speech perfectly, but what did you expect? Give me the speech. You probably know it. What did you expect?
He says, well, these are people. Are you talking about? He says these are common folk, people of the land. You know, assholes,
morons. Okay, right. He goes, it's a little bit longer than that. What did you expect? Did you expect him to say, have dinner with my daughter or something? Yeah. These are people who are common people, you know, morons. Yeah. Now, look at Cleavon Little's face after he says it. The laugh is genuine. So I asked Mel, I said, did Cleavon know that line was coming? And Mel said, nobody knew that line was coming. Yeah.
Gene Wilder made it up.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's brilliant.
Yeah. We should do a show on Blazing Saddles. Like we should do a podcast just on that, man.
My God.
So it was mostly written by Andrew Bergman, and then Richard Pryor came on as a writer before he was a massive star, and he was the one who came up with the Black Sheriff, and he was supposed to play the Black Sheriff. So
Wow. Studio wouldn't back him, right? They were nervous about Pryor, and right? What?
That's the story Mel tells.
I love this.
Are you going to be able to tell us, or do we have to wait till we go off?
Yeah, why not? Emil Buis and Gene Wilder told me a very different story.
Oh shit!
Mel did not like that he was getting as much attention as he was, and he felt like if Pryor starred in it, then it would be a Richard Pryor. People would talk about it as a Richard Pryor movie, as one of the writers, and now the star of it. Wow. And so Mel actually sabotaged him with the studio, which is why Pryor never worked with Mel Brooks again.
And that's why I don't put Richie in any project I work on.
Wow.
That's crazy.
For years, I had Fox, Paramount, Warner Brothers, now Netflix and Amazon begging me, please, let the movie star Mark Riccadonna. And I say no.
No.
But it's mostly because, these are common people. These are people of the earth, and they're morons. So they want Riccadonna.
Tom's wife has a good question. Did any of the actors ad-lib anything in Men in Tights that you kept?
Yes. Dave Shapiro certainly when he came up with the pumping up of the. Now I don't remember the movie great, truthfully, but I do remember this. He came up with the pump up the sneakers or the boots. That was yeah.
The
Dom
Reeboks were hot.
DeLuise, if I remember correctly, excuse me, Dom did some improving, and I think I wrote it as a cat. I can't remember. And he put in the gecko, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure. Richard Lewis used to come into my office at least every few days. I got a brilliant idea. I got an idea. I'd be, what? Lay it on me, Richard. Forget about it. He stinks. And it stinks. And then he'd leave my office.
I'm just glad to see I'm not the most insecure person that went into this business.
Oh, no. Oh, okay. Okay. I thought I had neurosis. Try going to lunch with Richard Lewis and Mel Brooks. Oh, my God.
Ooh.
Oh, the neurosis. Oh, it was insane. And by the way, it turned out, so I didn't know, I was talking about my sleeping, and I have terrible sleeping habits, but I didn't know it at the time. And Richard Lewis goes to me, look, you have a sleeping problem. I go, I do? He goes, do you think everyone wakes up every hour? I'm like, yeah, I just assumed they did. He's like, have you not ever lived with a woman or she spent the night at your house? I'm like, yeah, but they was kept sleeping. And then it turned out he grew up in, I told you about last week, Travolta grew up in Englewood. I didn't know this. Lewis grew up in Englewood. And
yeah, his dad owned the Big Deli, right?
Oh, did he? Yeah, he didn't tell me that part. But he told me, he goes, what street did you live on? I said, Van Nostrand. He goes, I lived on Van Nostrand. And Van Nostrand was a long street and on a hill. And he goes, what was your address? And I told him my address. He goes, I was like right across the street. Now it was 20 years or 10 or 20 years
different.
Right.
But, and he is, I saw him a long time ago. I saw him about 10 years ago at an event, and such a sweet guy. Truly a nice human being.
Really? Really? I've never met him. Have you met him, Mark? I've never met him.
So a really, really good friend of mine named Mike Jacobs was his opening act for the last like 10 years of his life. And Mike was a guy who got in the comedy late. He started doing stand-up when he was like in his early 60s.
Yeah.
And everybody they basically told him, this is a young dude's game. Like, you really are wasting your time. And he's like, look, I made my money. He was like a Wall Street dude. He goes, I made my money. I'm going to devote my time and everything into comedy. And I believed in him. And all of a sudden he worked and Richard Lewis saw him. And Richard Lewis decided, you're my new guy. And he went on tour up until Richard passed away. And then Mike was good enough. He started headlining himself, and every club would headline him and work him because they loved him when he worked with Richard.
I don't think Richard passed away. Did he?
Yeah, I was about to. Richard Lewis passed away?
No. No, he's still alive.
He is?
Hold on. I'll do the production. Keep talking. I got this.
No,
if he did, then Mike Jacobs passed away. It was one.
Mike Jacobs passed away. Yeah, but Richard Lewis is still alive.
Hey, I just got a text from Richard Lewis. He said, fuck you, I'm alive.
He's watching the show. We have a viewer. Okay, he's alive. Well, when Mike passed away,
I don't know. Did you look? Is he alive?
No, he's alive.
Yes, he's alive.
Okay.
Mike passed away, and I remember going to the thing. Oh, he's still on Curb. All right. Well, when Mike passed away, I remember thinking like how great it was that he had that huge victory of, everyone told him he couldn't make it. And then he was headlining clubs, and then he was opening for Richard. I thought that was great.
Wait, I'm going to look smart when I say this. Hold on. I have always had an issue, even when I was young, which I'm not anymore considering, but even then, that like it's always about like, oh, we're looking for the new young talent. I'm like, no, you're looking for the best talent. Doesn't matter young or old. I mean, look at Rodney Dangerfield. I don't think he started having success until he was in his 50s. So I always had. And when you look at the stats, people like the reason why so many older people don't make it in older age is because they're told they can't, and they believe that. I don't believe that at all. So that's a great story about your friend, because I think it's ridiculous to put age on anything. In fact, I think it's more impressive. It's less impressive to me when someone does something brilliant in their teens or their 20s, because you don't know better and you haven't been beaten down by life. But as you get older, you hear the no's, the don'ts, you fail, the impossibles. So anyone who's made it later in life, I think it's much more difficult. That's my Yoda for the day.
You know what you know what I find interesting about that? I'm going to use myself as an example. Is people who aren't in the business look and go, oh, it's a shame you're not successful. Not, but they don't know. But like a friend of mine from college recently wrote me on Facebook and said, "Hey man, congratulations on all your success." So people don't realize like what success is in this business. Just because you don't know how your name doesn't mean you're not successful.
It's the old, I don't know if Shakespeare said it, but you can't be a king in your own court. Because what's interesting, like my career has been so up and down that there are times in Hollywood, I can have a meeting and they're like, "Oh, you did this and this. I don't give a fuck." And other times, "Oh, this is great." But whenever I go outside of Hollywood, and by the way, that even includes like San Diego. But when you get farther out, people like look at you very differently as far as what success is. In Hollywood, it's it's the shark that keeps going, and unless you've done something immediately, I think I told you for Men in Tights, they did not want to bill it as a Mel Brooks movie. Spielberg had to deal with that on Catch Me If You Can. They kind of kept that a little bit down. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's the way. It's not the way common folk of the dirt treat people, but it is definitely how Hollywood
and entertainment.
And it's the new young talent.
That's my number one pet peeve is going online and there's articles that are like, look at these actors who failed or have fell from grace and whatever. And then it shows like a really great actor who had a great career and now they're a teacher. And it's like, or maybe they just decided to get out of the rat race of acting. Maybe it's not that they're failed and blackballed and fucking, it has to be some dramatic. Maybe they just went, you know what? I'm going to just raise my family and have a normal life.
That's the old, now I remember a joke, and I don't remember it fully, but it's like, the guy he works at the circus and he shovels shit and he gets shit and he shovels shit. And people are like, why do you do that for a living? And he goes, because I'm in the entertainment business.
Right.
And I think there's just, people don't realize that actually there's a lot of people that leave because they go, I'm done. I'd rather raise a family or.
Yeah. I did something great, and now I'm ready to move on to the next chapter. I laugh. A really good friend, I can use his name because I know he would laugh if he was with us. But Craig Gass will get into some shit with people online, and they'll go back and forth with him, and they'll be like, "You're a failed comedian," and he goes, "So by failed comedian, you mean made a living for 30 years, paid for my mother's existence, and also continue to do stand up for a living? Is that I'm a failed comedian?" Like they think if you're not Jerry Seinfeld, you're a failed comedian.
And by the way, him being able to do that for 30 years puts him in the top 5% of people who have ever done stand up.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know that, how difficult it is. Yeah. It's like, I have had people question me like, "Oh, so, you moved to Spain. So I guess things weren't going, you weren't doing well in Hollywood or whatever." I said, I live in Spain. I haven't moved here. I go back and forth, but no, I did it because I really like the lifestyle.
I see. Now this is the exact opposite. When I went to get a hold of you and I saw everything was like, "Oh, he's in Spain." I'm like, "Well, he's doing well." Hey, he's
I've had
crushing
that.
it.
Right. I've had that as well. Where, oh my God, you're traveling. I've had that. Right. You're living the life of Orson Welles. Actually, was here a lot, and of course, everyone knows about Hemingway was here a lot, and there was the whole group that went to Paris and Spain. So I've had that as well. And neither one. They're both extremes. It's just I came here to visit, and I would go back and forth. But then when COVID hit, I'm like, wow, I really like the lifestyle here, and things are really fucked up in the USA right now, and I don't have to deal with Trump and guns and all that other stuff. So hey, I think I'm going to stay.
I'm Spanish.
Yeah, see, yes.
All right,
Even though
JD.
I don't speak the language, this is my football team. It has to be. It has to be because they're Basque, and my wife is Basque, and if you don't root for them, the Basque family kills me. But no, it's actually pretty cool because I realize it's the only football team you have to be Basque to be on the team. You have to be from the region. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool because I'm like a New York Giant fan, but how many of the guys on the team are actually from New Jersey? Probably not many.
Yeah. Okay, so real quick, we have to wrap because it's 4:00. We have another show coming up. I hate to do this to you, but I'm going to put you on the spot.
Mark,
Can you come back next week?
I think we should just start a show called An Hour with JD Shapiro.
I know. Would you just like a weekly? Can we get a new hour? You tell us the good hour for you once a week.
I feel bad that I'm bumping somebody else. Very
no,
bad.
It's fine. It's fine.
No, I'm shaking my head. That means I don't feel bad at all. Fuck them.
I totally missed that.
I'm in Spain. I'm a huge star. So why do I care? No.
I actually love Richie's idea. Like if you don't have to be there every week, but if you want, I would love to give an hour because your story. I feel like we didn't even get into all the stories I promised everybody that we were getting into.
It's the ADD hour with JD Shapiro.
Yeah, but you know what's gonna happen? You know what's gonna happen? If I date a girl for over 3 months, she starts hearing the same stories, and she's like, "I've heard it. I've heard it. I've heard it." That's why most of my relationships only last a few weeks because that's about all the material I have.
Hey, wait, JD, I just thought of something. You guys continue to talk. I'm going to be back in 1 second.
No problem. You got it.
Mark has to go take a pee. That's like you should do what I'm doing. I actually have the fireman's carrot. You know, there's a called something the carriageman's best friend. I think that's what it's called. Because when guys were in carriages, they didn't get a break, so they had like their dick was hooked up to this.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a tube runs right down.
Do you?
Burt Reynolds, speaking of Burt Reynolds, I don't know if I ever saw the full movie, but there was that thing called S, and you weren't allowed to pee. And he went to I don't know the movie, but he went to an S thing. But beforehand, he bought something. I think we didn't know what it was, and that's what it was. And so he was peeing and smiling while everyone else was,
I think it was the end. Was that the end?
All right. So, JD, you're going to come back, right?
Yeah, of course I'll come back. You guys sent me $1.7 million in pennies a week ago, so why not?
So I'm gonna JD next week. I'll wear, and you can choose. I'll either wear the I think this is their home jersey,
right? Okay,
or their away jersey. Ooh, let me see if I'm getting it right.
Is that his team right there?
It's the team he probably hates. It's Real Madrid.
I mean, Real Madrid. Actually, what's funny is most of my friends are Real Madrid fans. I'm Atletico because it's the first game I ever went to, and I like their coach Simeone. He's a madman.
So I went to a Real Madrid game. That was my first game I ever went to. And everybody goes, I'm a fan of Real Madrid. And they're like, of course you are. Everybody's a fucking fan of theirs. They're like the Yankees of soccer. And I was like, if I'm going to just dive in. Hold on. Let me get my Yankees cap.
Now, did you go during when Ronaldo was playing?
Yeah. I went with Craig Gass, who we were just talking about, and Don Jameson and Kevin Downey Jr. We went to a game, and we had the time of our lives. But they don't serve alcohol in the stands, so you have to run across the street, grab as many beers as you can, and run back.
They don't serve food. It was a weird experience because the first game I went to, I was hungry and I'm expecting, and then I realized people brought their own food. It's a very different atmosphere than American sports. The first game I took my wife to was a Dodgers game, and we had great seats behind the dugout. And that has no relevance to the story. I'm just bragging. And people were doing the wave, and people were, we got into the Dughouse Club beforehand, so it's tons of food. But she's seeing people buying food and doing the wave and the beach ball, and she's texting her friends because she thought it was all. She had seen this on The Simpsons, but she thought it was all made up. She didn't know it was real.
Wow.
Oh my God, this is real.
All right, we got to switch over to Frank with Night Meds, but let's JD, we're going to have you back. This hour flies by so fast.
Who's next? Who are you doing next?
Frank Vignola does a show called Night Meds, and it's about paranormal shit.
They're talking about the Mandela effect today.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No one needs to see that. Well, you and I, we'll all stay on now. I'll tell you something about the paranormal. I'll sum it up in 30 seconds. It's real. It exists. They're not going to fuck with you if you fuck with them. That's it. We're done. Okay.
Thanks for ruining the next show.
All right, guys. Let's. Anybody watching, please hit the refresh button. JD, I cannot thank you enough for coming back, and I can't wait for next week. I have it written down where we are, so we'll continue the saga of JD.
Maybe bring Mel next week.
You should do a Larry the Lobster thing. How many people want JD to die and never be on the show again? How many people want him back?
Please vote in the chat box.
We'll let you know if he's returning. Cheers.
Cheers. It was so awesome. That was drinks, jokes, and storytelling.